Hi guys, welcome back to Dave's Game Room. It's time for a Christmas special, a bit of a discussion with myself and Plan 13. Mike, how's it going, mate? You feeling festive?
I'm feeling very festive. Merry Christmas, guys, and I hope you're all having a lovely festive period out there.
Me too, same comes from me. So Mike, Christmas shopping done, or are you doing some last minute stuff?
Me and the wife got all of ours done, mate. Beginning of end of November, actually. So we're very organised. We do every year. We make sure everything's done and sorted.
Mate, that's brilliant of you. I'm still kind of rushing around picking up some final bits, but mostly I'm done too. So, the video today is all about PS4 and Xbox One to start with, Mike.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about our console history. So, like the most influential console that you've had in your gaming career, if you like, ever since you started playing games. So first off, let's talk about the current situation with PS4 and Xbox One, which I think is really appropriate for Christmas. So first off then, let's kick off with the PlayStation 4. That was our console of choice, both of us. I'll throw it over to you to start with, mate. What do you like about the PS4?
The PS4 for me, I mean, I was always going to get an Xbox One because I loved the Xbox 360 so much. I wasn't that keen on the PS3, okay?
Yep.
So, Xbox One, I remember texting you, emailing you, Dave, what you get. You were the same. Got our pre-orders in and all that. Then I heard that Microsoft were going to do this, that, and the other with it. And I thought, I tell you what, I'm going to go back to being a PlayStation gamer. The console was only $349, I think I paid for it on release. So it was cheap. It was cheap as far as consoles go. I've heard it's more powerful.
Yep.
Well, that's what all the articles were telling me. What I like about it, in a nutshell, it's about the games. It's as simple as that. They haven't sort of tried to sprinkle sort of angel dust on top in regards to have Skype chats and have this. It's just about the games. So the marketing, I think they got the marketing spot on because they lured me in and they lured millions of others in with it.
Yeah, and you've seen a lot of people buying PS4s, haven't you, mate, during your various times of doing shopping?
Yeah, over the last few weeks, especially at the end of November time when we were Christmas shopping, the shops were crazy. People going mad buying the consoles for their kids, other parents, but it was just the amount of PS4s coming out of game shocked me. I did not see parents carrying Xbox Ones. Now, I'm not slagging the Xbox One off at all. Now and then I pop over my brother's and I play on his. I think it's a decent console, I really do. But it was staggering for me, the amount of PS4s coming out of that shop the specific day I was there, and no Xboxes, no Wii U's.
No, that's interesting. I'd just like to reiterate that both Mike and myself, we're not fanboys, we're not brand specific. We did both buy PS4s, as it turned out, but we're both very open-minded. As Mike said, he's played the Xbox One around his brother's house, so any of the guys out there that might have clicked on this thinking, these two are just going to, rubbish a particular console and big up another one. That's not the case, guys. We're proper gamers. We're going to talk about it from our own points of view. Yeah. So my plus points about the PS4, I'm going to echo Mike's sentiment. It is all about the games. It's not gimmicky. They didn't force you to have a camera from day one. That's just an extra that you could buy. And yeah, generally the machine's really, really good. I like the user interface. I think it works well. It's simple. It's quick. It's easy to get to the various different sections of the interface.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. The UI is fantastic. The PS3 was a shambles for me.
It was a nightmare. I completely agree, mate. It was one of the things I didn't like about the PS3, actually, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And also, the controller is something I like about the PlayStation 4 because it's really, really nice to hold. It's really ergonomic. I like the analog sticks. I like the triggers. I think Sony nailed it this time around with the DualShock 4, Mike.
They had to get the DualShock 4, the controller, right this time. I did not like the DualShock 3. Now, a lot of people listening will be like, oh, this guy hated the PS3 by the sounds of things. I'm slagging it off. Not entirely true. I picked up a PS3 a few weeks ago for our spare room, mainly for Netflix apps and things like that, for when I'm downstairs watching the football. My wife will use it upstairs. But my point being, I picked up the PS3 really late in its lifespan.
Yeah.
Because I was an Xbox 360 addict. I mean, for me, Xbox Live, everything, it was just party chat. It was just streets ahead of the PS3. They got the PS3 wrong for me, Sony, and the PS4 had to win. If the PS4 failed, that would have been the end in regards to gaming with Sony, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think I'm the same as you with Sony. They had to nail this console. And so far, they're doing exceptionally well because the analysts, the experts are saying that for every one Xbox One that might get sold retail, at least 9 PS4s are being sold. So that gives you an example of how many PS4s are being bought. It's just crazy.
It doesn't surprise me, again, going back to when I've been in stores, in shops, the PS4's flying off the shelves. And also a really surprising statistic is the US market that the PS4 is outselling the Xbox One there, I think.
It is.
I mean, the Xbox, Microsoft's product, always dominated America, didn't it, in the past?
I think since 360, yes. I mean, I think the original Xbox, when that came out, the PS2 had such a big head start that it was never going to get anywhere. But yeah, you're totally right about the 360. For me, that did dominate the last generation of consoles, without a doubt. So yeah, I think the same as you in terms of the PS4. It's a really good console. I think we made the right choice, both of us did, when we bought it. But of course, Mike, we have to balance things up. So fire some negatives at me that you maybe don't particularly like about the PS4.
For me, we've had some dodgy experiences with the online issues. Chat. You'll send me a message, or I'll send you one, and it says Dave sent you a message, and I'll try and open it, and I can't see the message. It really frustrates me, that does. They still haven't nailed little things like voice messaging.
Yeah, I agree with that. And anything else, mate, to add to that?
Yeah, my PS4 is quite loud. It gets hot. It gets hot quickly, and it sounds like a plane taking off.
Yeah, mine too, mate. And I've even put mine right on top of my entertainment cabinet now to try and give it as much ventilation as possible, and you can really hear it now. I regret doing that because it actually sounds louder now. It's not enclosed.
Does it really? Because mine's quite enclosed. It's in, because I've got like bookshelves where everything goes. My Skybox goes in one, my hi-fi's in the other, my amp, and then PS4's in another. And I thought maybe it's getting too warm, but I thought, no, I've bought this unit actually specifically made for holding consoles and things. So if it conks out, it conks out. But it's just a bit of noise. You don't really hear it over the TV when bullets are whizzing around or the crowd's going off in PES 2015. So it's not that much of a problem. I'm sort of nitpicking with this.
Cool. Okay, so ready for my negatives?
Yeah.
Okay, so first off, there's been some disappointing exclusives. The machine that I picked up was packaged with Killzone, and everybody was going nuts about Killzone.
Boring.
I've got to say, Mike, Killzone's terrible.
Yeah, all the Killzone games are crap, in my opinion.
They are, I agree. They're all clunky, horrible, just not flowing, in comparison to other shoot-'em-up games. So that was disappointing. Drive Club, of course, got delayed. We've done a whole video on Drive Club. I've already explained that single player, it's a disappointment. But a quick update for you guys. There's more content. There's actually more bits to the World Tour mode. There is.
Cool.
So there's more reasons to play it, which is good news.
But where is it for PlayStation Plus? I refuse to buy it. I want the free version. Where is it?
Exactly. Part of whatever technical issue Sony and the people that run Drive Club have had has affected it from going on to PSN for you PSN Plus subscribers, which is a shame. And the other thing, it's basically what you've already said. The dodgy spells we've had with PSN. In my case, it's gone a bit further than just not receiving messages or not being able to play them back. My PS4 has kicked me out of a game and crashed and given me an error message because of PSN. It did it in Drive Club. It also did it might have been FIFA 15 as well, with the first few weeks that we played that. It crashed. I was in the middle of a career mode, went to press the menu button, my PlayStation just sat there, and then I got kicked out with a blue screen giving me an error code asking me if I wanted to report it to Sony, which I don't.
That hasn't happened to me once at all, that hasn't. That's quite surprising.
Since the online has got better, because in recent weeks it's been improved, I haven't had any crashing issues at all, so it's been much better. My PS4 is noisy, we've already discussed that. And the final thing really, controllers. I've had a controller that I've not been able to use because of the left analog stick tearing, which is a common issue, and also my right trigger sticks down on the other controller that I had, mate.
Right.
So, admittedly, Sony will replace it under warranty if you report it, but to me, it's just not right.
I'm glad you brought that up because I can't believe I forgot to include that as one of my negatives. There's a quick story behind this. I'm on my 4th DualShock 4.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm on my 4th. Now, this one is great, the 4th one I've got, but the last time I took it to game, and they replace it just like that for me. They have you got your receipt? Yeah, boom, here goes a new one. The first batch of controllers that were released with the PS4 were made apparently by a different factory in China somewhere. Okay.
Yep.
Sony basically went down the cheap route. It's cheap parts, etc. DualShock 4s now, if you're picking them up, guys, are made in a warehouse in the US somewhere.
Oh,
and
wicked.
And it's better materials, and that's why triggers were sticking. It was such a common problem, and thumbsticks were tearing as well. That happened to me as well. That was my first one I had to change. So that's the story behind that, guys. DualShock 4s now are made better.
Awesome, mate. I didn't know that, so thanks for giving me and the listeners that particular update. That's fantastic. So, yeah, as far as the PS4 goes, Mike, overall, I'm happy. I think it's a good machine. How about you?
It's great. For me, I've also bought it because the not multi-platforms, what's the word for it? Not first party, but the
exclusive games.
Yeah, no, sorry, the multi-platform games.
Okay.
They usually run better, don't they, on the PS4 than the Xbox One.
They do,
in 1080p and in 60 frames a second or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Whereas on Xbox One, you're getting all these games coming out 720p, and it's 2014.
Exactly, I completely agree. So, yeah, we have to come on to the PlayStation 4's rival. Of course we do. So, Xbox One, Mike, do you want to take it away? You've had some experience with it using your brother's console. Do you want to take away the positives?
Yeah, I've used my brother's a lot, and I've also used one of my mate Johnny's quite a bit as well. He does want a PS4 now. It's got to be said now. He's played mine, but he's had his Xbox for a while. The positives, the UI, I like it. A lot of people don't like the user interface. I like it once you get used to it. I think it's all right. It's like a bit like Windows 8, and it can be confusing at first, but once you get used to it, I quite like it. I like the colour scheme.
Yep.
And all the things that you can sort of change with it. You can't really change much with the PS4's user interface. So you can tinker with it. I like the Xbox One exclusives. I think they're better than the PS4 exclusives. Forza Horizon 2. I played it yesterday for the first time. Someone had it on the gaming pod in Tesco. Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it blew me away too. Absolutely blew me away. Keep going, mate. Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay. Sunset Overdrive's another exclusive. It's loads of fun. It looks dodgy on the advert. I thought it's not my type of thing. Played it with my brothers for an hour. I was addicted. It's fantastic. So it's got better exclusives for me.
Yeah.
Apart from that, positives, I don't know. I'm not going to go on about the controller being amazing like loads of Xbox fanboys do, because I think they've made the controller worse. I loved for me, the Xbox 360 gaming controller is still the best gaming controller that's ever been made.
Yeah, I'm completely in agreement with the controller situation. So that's your positives then. You actually do quite like the Xbox One as well then?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a decent machine, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, mate. Ready for my positives?
Go for it.
Okay, so with the Xbox One, the first thing I'm going to say, and it echoes Mike's sentiment, again, the exclusives for the Xbox One are better than the Sony PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
So that might be something that any of you guys looking to buy one maybe as a last-minute present, you might want to consider the type of gamer perhaps that you're buying it for and what games they play. Because I was asked this very same question, actually, mate, at work not so long ago about PS4, Xbox One. I determined my colleague's games, what type of games he likes to play, and I surprised everybody in the office by saying, Xbox One, mate. Your console is the Xbox One. And the reason is, he likes a lot of the shoot-'em-up games. There's some good shoot-'em-up games that are exclusive, and you mentioned Sunset Overdrive, that's really, really awesome. And he plays online a lot, so it's a no-brainer. Xbox Live, me and you both know, is robust. It works.
Yeah, it's a brilliant service.
So that is the main positive that I've got for the Xbox One, and also, that's it really. Xbox Live and the games, the first-party exclusive games for the Xbox One are superior.
I can't believe I missed Xbox Live. I'll reiterate that. That's a positive for me always. On any Xbox machine, you've got Xbox Live. Xbox Live works. It's very good.
It has worked since 2002, I think it was, when it originally came out.
Yeah.
It's been brilliant, guys. We've had the odd blip, but you're going to have a blip with a service that's provided, that's online anyway. That's a given. So, Mike, negatives about the Xbox One, if you may.
Oof, I've got quite a few. Firstly, the controller.
Yep.
They've gone backwards. It's big. It's clunky. I don't like it at all. I just don't know why they fiddled with the 360 one too much.
Yep.
The the actual aesthetics of the console itself, the way it's built, I think it looks like a Betamax player from the 80s. It's ugly. It's really ugly.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that they bundled Kinect with it and said everyone is going to have to use Kinect. It's going to be an integral part of the Xbox One experience. And then they U-turn and say, actually, you don't need to buy Kinect now. So everyone's got these Kinect things sitting on the top of their tellies they don't need. And the fact that so many developers are saying that it's quite a difficult machine to work with, and it basically chugs if it tries to go out in 1080p, so they have to reduce everything down to 720p. I mean, for me, I feel like Microsoft rushed it out. It could have done with another year of work behind it and being released in around now,
Yeah.
December 2014 for a Christmas launch. I think they rushed it out.
I think so too, mate. Yeah, I totally agree. They probably could have looked at what their opposition were doing, taken time, seeing how the machine that the opposition released was received, and then maybe gone from there. Because the Xbox brand was fantastic with the 360. They had so many good franchises that came about on the 360. I think they could have done that. I agree with you totally on that one. So, any other little negatives you want to chuck in there?
And the price of it when it was first released, it's quite expensive, wasn't it, compared to the PS4?
I think it was, yeah, and they said that was subsidising the cost of the Kinect, so yeah. The least said about that, the better. So, on to my negatives. We ready for those?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so, do you remember, way back when, I think you hinted on it, but we didn't go into specifics because we were doing an overview, when me and you were first looking at what console we were going to buy, all the talk of, you can't buy used games, you can't borrow games off friends, you can't do this, you can't do that, your Xbox One has to be online at least once every 24 hours, otherwise it's going to be reduced functionality mode. Do you know what I'm going to say right now? And for any younger listeners, I'm sorry, what the fuck were they thinking when they said that and when they did that? I don't know,
they were smoking the dodgy stuff. They lost me as a customer, as a consumer, with their E3. Their E3 messed everything up for them. That first E3, they shot themselves in the foot. Sony probably couldn't believe their luck when they watched that E3 and then did their show and just blew everyone away.
Yeah, their Christmases must have come early.
Because can you remember that E3? It was TV, turn your Xbox into a TV, own the living room, TV. All the gamers were like, but what about the games?
Totally agree, and I'm sorry, Mike, but games consoles should be, number one, what games is it playing? How is it delivering the games? Are the games any good? What's the experience like with the controller in your hands? What does it look like? It's got to, number one is games. So Microsoft, as you say, did this whole TV thing. You know, plug your Skybox into it. I don't want to plug my Skybox into it. I don't want it doing that.
Talking to your console, it's something that gets boring and tedious after a couple of days. I mean, the thing is that blows my mind, Microsoft Xbox brand had the infrastructure in place already. They had the best online gaming service around, really. PC gamers will argue with us, but we're not going to bring PC competition into this. I'm on about Sony versus Microsoft. Xbox Live blew everyone's heads off. That's why we were going to stick with Xbox. We were 360 gamers, and we were like, yeah, we're going to be Xbox Live. At PlayStation Network's a bit shit, really, compared. And then they did that E3, and I was just like, what? Kinect? I don't really want Kinect. I don't want to do the wavy stuff. It's not for me. Just give me a controller in my hand. I sit on the sofa and I play games.
Absolutely agree. I'm glad you mentioned Kinect, because my second negative was the fact that originally you were forced to have Kinect. You could not buy the box without Kinect, and they were ramming it down your throat. Kinect for me doesn't work, don't like it. I don't care for voice chat on using the Kinect anyway. I don't want it on when I'm playing a game, and I certainly don't care for, you know, voice commands, commanding my machine with voice. Don't care. I'd rather use the controller. That's what it's in my hands for. So Kinect, what were they thinking? Dunno. The next one, the UI. Now, you like the UI, and I completely respect that, and of course everyone's got their opinion. I personally found the UI quite confusing.
A lot of people do.
I thought, okay, I liked the 360 UI. I liked the idea of pinning popular applications, tasks, that sort of thing. Good idea. Just found it hard to navigate. All I wanted to do sometimes was go to the settings menu, and I found that hard to do. So sometimes I got confused, I got frustrated, I didn't like it. And yeah, snapping applications, I didn't like this whole snapping of applications to the side, to the roof, to your flipping toilet. I just didn't care, you know.
Yeah,
I didn't care
made
for it.
they made a huge deal around that snapping bullshit, didn't they? I mean, there was no need for that. I've also heard, I haven't tried this, but a lot of people, Xbox One owners, have said stuff like which was simple on the Xbox 360, like creating a party chat, became complicated on the Xbox One. But I don't know how much truth there is to that.
Yeah, I've heard the exact same, mate. I think we may have read similar articles at the time with people saying about it, which is a shame because it worked on the 360, and it's the old adage: if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't fix it, yeah.
Exactly that. So, okay, that's PS4 versus Xbox One. So, as I said in my previous bit, depends on what type of game you are, and depends on what games you play, is which one you should go for. Me and Mike went for the PS4, but we had our good reasons that you've already heard. So, how did we get to this point, Mike? So, gaming history, me and you, we've been playing games for over 20 years, the pair of us have.
Yeah, God, yeah, we have, haven't we? Yeah.
What console out of that time would you say was your best console, most influential, got you into games, you enjoyed the most, and what games on that machine did you enjoy the most?
See, that's a good question. Since you told me yesterday you were thinking of doing this video about console history and etc., I thought to myself overnight, that's such a hard question to answer for me, because it's about different times, different periods, and different where I was as a person myself, without sounding sort of too cheesy and dramatic about it.
Yeah.
Because, for example, we had the early Spectrum days for me. That was my first computer. That wasn't a console, but that's where gaming started properly for me. Then we had the Nintendo Entertainment System. The Super NES I owned. I never owned the Mega Drive. I regret that. Looking back, I think it was a better machine than the Super Nintendo. The games are more adult. But I think the console of all time, if I had to take one to a desert island for memories, would be the Sony PlayStation, the original.
Wow, okay. And in terms of the Sony PlayStation, Mike, were there games in particular that you were like, yes, this game's amazing, I've got to play this for weeks and weeks on end? Is there one that stands out? Tomb Raider.
Yeah, it was just, I remember the whole disc thing, having a CD, it was the first time we could put a CD in a machine. It blew me away. Wow. After just having cartridge-based systems for years and years. And just like the graphics and the music you'd get on the machine, and it was such a new experience. It felt ahead of its time. It probably wasn't ahead of its time at the time, but you had stuff like that demo disc that came bundled with it.
Yeah, Demo 1, yeah.
And you had the Formula 1 game with all the commentary, and you had the golf game with actually
actual golf with Peter Alice's commentary.
Yes. It was fantastic. It just felt like the future. And I think it was the pinnacle of gaming, and I think it was a hugely influential machine to where gaming is today. Okay,
so from PlayStation, how did you get to PlayStation 4? Just give us a little overview on that, mate.
How did I get there? So PlayStation, and then obviously Nintendo 64. I just bought that for GoldenEye.
Oh, yeah.
But that was the last Nintendo machine I bought. I have never bought one since the 64. I started getting fed up with Nintendo. I felt like I outgrew it.
Yep.
So then PlayStation 2, loved the PS2, bought it, really enjoyed it. Didn't bother with the PS3 for the reasons I gave earlier. Arrived at the PS4 again because basically Microsoft sent me to them. It was Microsoft's fault with their terrible E3 that I became a PS4 gamer. And obviously my favourite machine of all time being the PlayStation 1. It's the nostalgia. I thought, I'm happy to be a Sony gamer again.
Brilliant, mate, brilliant. So, are you guys ready? Do you want to grab a quick drink whilst I talk about my console history a little bit?
Yeah, grab a cuppa, guys. Stick it on pause. Stick this on pause and come back to us.
Like Mike, my first experiences were not with a console, they were with a home computer. I was fortunate that my dad bought us a Commodore 64 as a family back in the day.
That was a good machine. That was very powerful in its day, that was.
I love that machine, Mike, and that's what got me started on the trail to computing and being the computer engineer that I am today, really.
Yeah.
So my first proper console experience was the Nintendo Entertainment System. I had older cousins, and my cousin Larry had an NES, so I would have played the likes of Mega Man, Super Mario Brothers, and Super Mario Brothers 2 and 3, all of those games on the NES. Now, my personal console owning history, which I'm going to do now, Game Boy. My first proper console was a Game Boy. It was a handheld. It wasn't even a proper console to some degree.
Yeah.
Game Boy with Tetris and Mario Land and a couple of other games.
I had the Game Boy. It was a really good machine.
So you could say the first proper home console that I had was the Mega Drive. Loved that machine, was blown away by it as a kid. Awesome machine. From Mega Drive, I then went to Sony PlayStation, because PlayStation, let's face it, it was the machine to have. I had friends that had it. I played it around a mate's house, and FIFA 96 blew me away. That's how funny it is. Just listening to commentary on FIFA 96.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Destruction Derby I played for the first time round his house too. And as you said, Formula 1 and the demo disc also blew me away too, with some of the demos, some of the upcoming stuff that was on the PlayStation. And then from there I went to PS2. I was a slow adopter for the PS2. I didn't buy it on day one.
Neither did I.
No.
I didn't either.
Took me a couple of years, and then a mate of mine at work at the time talked about Xbox and talked about Halo and Halo 2 and Project Gotham Racing and Xbox Live, and I was like, this sounds interesting. So as an early Christmas present 10 years ago, probably to the day, I bought myself an original Xbox. And then the natural progression from that, because of how impressed I was 360. Me and you caned the 360. How many late night sessions did we have on Gotham that went till 3-4 in the morning, Mike?
Yeah, and for me, it was a struggle for me when I was thinking about last night. My favourite console, it was between the 360 and the PlayStation. The PlayStation just scrapes the win for me, but the 360 is up there as one of my all-time favourites. What a machine that was.
It was a fantastic machine, and then for all the very reasons that Mike has said and I've said, I arrive at PlayStation 4. In between that, though, I did pick up a PS3 because there were some exclusives that I was interested in, and I used it as a Blu-ray player, that's what I'll say. It made sense to have one. In terms of the question that I've managed to avoid, what was my all-time favourite console, what's my most influential console, I thought about this for weeks because I thought I'd love to do a video on this. I think it's a great topic of conversation for a couple of friends to have, like me and you, who are avid gamers. Mike, you're not going to believe when I say this, but my most influential console, my best console ever, number one, is the Sony PlayStation.
Really? Wow.
Absolutely. When I had that machine, I was blown away. Again, it was a demo disc that started it. I had Demo 1, which had Ridge Racer Revolution, it had Formula 1 97, it had a video of Destruction Derby 2.
That's the same disc I had bundled with mine, yeah.
Yeah, I was blown away by it. So the game, this one's tricky. The game that really set it off for me, I'd probably say Metal Gear Solid was the one that really I've got the most memories of. It was like, wow, what a game. And then Resident Evil wouldn't have been too far behind it, Mike.
Resident Evil, the original, was immense, but Tomb Raider for me just pips it. That part of Tomb Raider, I don't know if you've ever played the original all the way through, Dave, but when you stumble across the T-Rex.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
It's just the animals in it, like the bears, and just the whole way the game was crafted was beautiful. It was just such an experience. I'm not really a Tomb Raider fan at all, but I always think back to that original and just thought it was beautiful. I also owned Wipeout, and I loved Wipeout 2098, I think.
2097, I had that.
The soundtrack.
Oh, the soundtrack was amazing.
Chemical Brothers, Prodigy, and all the artists. I mean, that was fantastic as well. It was a good time for gaming. A really, really good time.
And as I've picked it as number one, and I think you may have also agree with this, it was the best time for gaming for me. From a single player perspective.
From a single player, definitely.
From when you were on your own. Do you want to know what came a close second and only just came a close second?
Xbox 360?
No, the Sega Mega Drive.
Okay, that surprised me. I thought you would have had the 360 second because of all the late nights we had. But yeah, I know you loved your Mega Drive.
The Mega Drive was second, and I'm just going to finish off a little quick top five, and you can do that as well, Mike, if you want.
Yeah.
Third was the Xbox 360, for the very reasons you've described, and they were amazing games.
Yeah.
Fourth was the Super Nintendo.
Oh, just classic.
And fifth was the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, I'd probably... I'd go along with that list. For me, top machine, top machine, PlayStation, Xbox 360 in second, Xbox in third.
Ooh, interesting.
Because for me, I'll quickly in a nutshell, the reason I actually sold my PS2 and got into Xbox gaming was because I popped into Game Station to ask, remember Game Station?
Yeah.
Popped in there to ask the guy behind the counter, look, have you got the PlayStation adapter that gets you onto the PlayStation Network? And he said, don't bother, mate. That's my attempt at Scottish accent, by the way. Don't bother, mate. Get yourself one of these. And he just picked up the Xbox and plonked on the thing. He said, this is it for online gaming. Here's the headset thing. Can you remember you bought the Xbox Live Access pack and it was like a headset?
Kit. That's it.
That's it. And he said, look, get this. So I bought it there and then. Got back to my flat. I was living on my own at the time. And boom, played Castle Wolfenstein.
Yeah, I remember that.
Was blown away. I had all these Americans talking to me. I was like, what is going on? So for me, the Xbox will always be up there. That got me my first experience of online gaming. And then, in third, in fourth, Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Mario Brothers 3, probably the best game of all time.
Yep.
Super NES in fifth, incredible machine.
Absolutely incredible. So let's turn this on its head. Consoles that you did not like. So let's start with you, Mike.
Oh, that's a real toughie. There isn't any that I particularly hate because all consoles have always got a little hidden gem on. But a machine that I never bought, played it at friends' places, didn't like it at all, Nintendo GameCube.
Wow, okay. Was there any other reasons you can think of for the GameCube? Just that you didn't like the machine, the titles, or what was it?
I felt like I'd outgrown Nintendo. Didn't like the way it was built. It was like this horrible little doorstop. Didn't like the controller at all. Games did nothing for me. Just was not interested in it whatsoever.
Any games in particular that you really didn't like? It doesn't have to be from the GameCube. It can be from any system.
Games full stop?
Any games you played and you thought were utter crap?
Football games.
Football games?
Loads of them, because football games are our passion, isn't it? That's our main go-to, isn't it, with gaming, is football gaming. And some of my favourites, the period when Pro Evo, my favourite football series as a child, well, as a young adult, turned to shit. Like, when it was PES 2007, 2008, 2009, I was like, Konami, what are you doing? What are you doing? So my favourite games were also my worst.
Wow, okay, it's incredible. So, in my case then, this is just madness. I'm not doing this because it's a Christmas special, guys, so please don't think that I am, and I'm just copying Mike. But I've got it written down here on my on my pre-show notes. The console that I don't like, that I've got in my collection, is the Nintendo GameCube.
Really? Wow.
Yes. Why? Because A, I don't like the design of the thing. Like you said, it looks like a freaking doorstop and it's just rubbish. Why did Nintendo use mini DVDs? That was totally against the standard.
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody else did. And also, the freaking control pad was horrendous. It was one of the worst controllers I've ever used.
It was like Fisher-Price.
It was horrendous.
It was like a toy. It was crap.
And I can't remember too many good games on the GameCube that weren't on another machine. So naturally, what am I going to go for? One of the others, aren't I?
Yeah.
The GameCube is probably my worst machine. And games, this is tricky because football games. If I talk about football games, there's been loads of bad ones.
There's been tons of bad football games. Tons.
I can think of, for example, World Cup Italia 90 I thought was pretty bad on the Mega Drive. Hang on. One bad game that really sticks out for me. Let me just think about this for a second. N64, GT64. It sticks out because it's awful.
I haven't played it.
The graphics, as we've already discussed, Nintendo did some weird technical stuff to make it look horrendous.
Yeah.
The frame rate was abysmal. It was absolutely unplayable. It was just terrible. What were they thinking?
You should do a video on that. I'd be interested to check that out.
I think we will, mate. We'll make that one of the videos we do next year in 2015 for definite.
Yeah.
Any honourable mentions in this negative section? Just quickly, any other things you want to just mention?
Quickly, I'd like to talk about what they did after with Resident Evil. I mean, the original series being immense on the PlayStation. Well, Resident Evil 1 and 2 especially, but then Xbox 360. Everyone waited so many years for Resident Evil 5. What did they do? They turned it into an action game in Africa. I was like, what are you doing?
I remember it well. What were they thinking?
Don't know. So that needs an honourable mention. That needed to go in there. I'll be able to sleep well tonight now I've got that out.
One thing I'm going to make as an honourable mention, it's not a game. What was Sega thinking, Mike? What was Sega thinking? Do you know what I'm gonna say? It needs an honourable mention. What were they thinking? Sega 32X, Mega CD. What were they thinking?
They
Honestly.
didn't. They didn't. They didn't.
What happened there?
They didn't.
I've lost Mike. He's gone.
Sorry, boys. Just fell out the window.
Dusting yourself off the old snow, Mike, are you?
Yeah, I've had too much Christmas Baileys, guys. That's what happened.
And that window was nicely placed.
It was. Now, sorry about that, guys. We're back now, though.
Okay, so as I was saying, the Mega Drive add-ons. What was Sega thinking, Mike?
Yeah.
32X, Mega CD, no good games. I mean, it was expensive as well.
I remember me and you having this chat with my brother when I was visiting you last, and you said something to do with Sega didn't research the market properly.
They didn't with the CD. No, they shouldn't have just jumped in like they did. And as for the 32X, I mean, Sega in Japan were making the Saturn, which is the proper successor to the Mega Drive.
Yeah.
Who the hell decided that Sega of America would release and make that 32X? What was the point?
I don't know. It was a bit of an odd one. But funny, as you're speaking about this, I've got to say, in case I forget, honourable mention, I never owned it, my brother did, Dreamcast.
Oh, okay, the Dreamcast.
Great little machine, Shenmue, what a game, they've got to bring it back.
Shenmue's fantastic. It's a game that I want to add to my collection as well.
That had the capabilities of maybe jumping online with it as well, didn't it? You could connect it to the internet, which was really interesting for its time.
It had a dial-up modem and Dream Arena. I had a mate at the time who actually used it and sent me emails. It was quite cool. He used it to email me. Yeah, he did. There was a keyboard for the Dreamcast as well. So
was there?
Yeah,
wow.
I'm glad you brought up the Dreamcast. I'm a fan of that machine, but it didn't last long enough. Basically, Sega paid for their mistakes.
That has got a cult following, that machine has, though.
It has, yeah. And they made some mistakes when they designed it, to be honest with you, because it still technically only used CDs. I know there were GDs, so there were gigabyte discs.
Yeah.
But it was miles behind what Sony would then do a couple of years later with the PS2.
Yeah, and which always brings us back. Sony were sort of ahead of their game, weren't they?
Sony were innovators, let's be honest. With CD-ROM, with the PlayStation, they didn't mess around. It was CD-ROM. PS2, DVD. A lot of people bought PS2s as cheap DVD players back in the day.
Oh, yeah, I loved that. That was my DVD player.
And mine. It was
my first DVD player, was the PS2.
Yeah, and mine. Exactly. And for that reason, that was one of the main reasons I got it.
And then they did it again with Blu-ray on the PS3.
Again, another reason why I thought I'd buy a PS3. Because
a lot of people did that. I'll have a Blu-ray player. Because Blu-ray players at the time were very expensive.
Oh, Christ,
so you could get a games console and a Blu-ray player in one. Xbox or Microsoft missed the trick with the Xbox 360 because they attempted the whole high definition drive add-on. Remember that?
Yeah, and again, mate, an add-on that failed. So let's have a quick look at add-ons. Mega Drive add-ons failed. Nintendo were clever because they released an add-on in Japan for what's essentially the NES called the Famicom Disk System. Didn't do very well. Didn't release it. They experimented with CDs with the Super Nintendo. Didn't bother releasing it.
Yeah.
And the N64 had a disk drive in Japan. Didn't do very well. Came too late. Didn't release it. So Nintendo have proved that add-ons don't work. But they did it the right way. Sega did it the wrong way.
Yeah.
So there we go. Hope we haven't bored you to death, guys, with our brief history of consoles and the PS4 and Xbox One. I do just want to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and hope that you guys join us in 2015 for some more of Dave and Mike on Dave's Game Room.
Yeah, guys, just want to add to that. Have a great Christmas, great New Year. Don't get too drunk. No, actually, go and get hammered, honestly.
Awesome, guys. Thanks very much for watching.
Take care, guys.